الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Food Sanitation by Professor Mahmoud Hani Sulaiman. At the beginning, I like to draw your attention to the following nota bene. All duties mentioned here carried by the physician or under his supervision. Sometimes he must train his assistants for doing them and supervise them while working. This team for helping the physician includes vet, sanitarian, agricultural engineer, insecticide expert, nurse, and others. All conditions that must be met during production, processing, storage, and distribution. During production, processing, storage, and distribution of food must be safe, wholesome, and fit for human consumption. The food must remain wholesome and fit for human consumption. Household hygiene of cooked food. Recommendations of hazard analysis and critical control points. Hazard analysis and critical control points. Program cooking food until core temperature is 75 degrees centigrade or above will ensure that harmful bacteria are destroyed. However, lower cooking temperatures are acceptable provided the duration of core temperature is as follows: 60 degrees centigrade for 45 minutes, 65 degrees centigrade for a minimum of 10 minutes, 70 degrees centigrade for a minimum of 2 minutes. Cooked food should be kept in a shelf and not covered by thin nets. Hazard analysis and critical control point is an approach to food safety focusing on identifying, controlling critical points in food production and distribution chain that may lead to food hazard. HACCP incorporates a set of food safety strategies specific to tasks and settings of food chain. These strategies apply to farmers working in field, to those responsible for food handling production before it reaches consumer table. Food handlers at all levels are trained to implement key strategies to eliminate or control foodborne infections triggers at critical points in operation. Second, to identify critical control points, establish preventive measures with critical limits for each control point, establish procedures to monitor the critical control points, establish corrective actions to be taken when monitoring shows that critical limits has not been met, establish procedures to verify that the system is working properly, establish effective record keeping. These are components of HACCP. Guidelines for preventing foodborne illnesses. To prevent foodborne illnesses, use the following strategies. Food is a potent source of pathogens, toxins, and disease. A foodborne disease is one where the agent is toxic or infectious and is transmitted to body through food. Detailed discussions on epidemiology and prevention or control of specific food diseases was made in section of communicable diseases. But here we will mention the following general principles. Procurement and storage of food. Procurement, non-vegetarian foods, dry and canned foods, refrigerate perishable foods, storing non-perishable foods, deep freeze unit vegetables. These are general principles for food procurement and storage. Food handlers hygiene, this is important. Please read it, but notice that regular medical examination for communicable disease is urgent and direct duty for the physician. Urine, stool, and nasal swab, this is the duty for the physician. Vaccination, again, the whole entire group of fevers is the duty of the physician. Kitchen hygiene and sanitation, read it. It must be done under your supervision, under the supervision of the physician, and sometimes he may go to have a look at it. Cooking practice done under the physician's supervision, and he must supervise this. Please read it carefully. Serving of food must be done by the assistance of the physician under his supervision, and he must have a look. Please read it. Sanitation of some specific foods. Some foods require special attention. These are mainly the non-vegetarian foods and fresh salads. Poultry and sausages. Please read it and supervise your assistants. Meat, please read it and supervise your assistants. Salads and fruits, cooked rice, milk or eggs, health education, please read it and supervise your assistants. Main principles to keep food safe. These are important. Please train your assistants to supervise them, and you supervise your assistants. Clean, wash hands and surfaces often. Separate, don't cross-contaminate. Main principles continued. Cook to proper temperature. This is important. Please supervise your assistants while they are supervising these procedures. Main principles continued. Shall refrigerate promptly. This is important. Please supervise your assistants. Milk hygiene, sources of infection, and the sanitation of dairy, animal, and humans. Milk-borne diseases, this is important. Zooanthroposis, brucellosis, tuberculosis, salmonellosis, Q fever, streptococcal infections. Infections from humans that are transmitted via milk, typhoid, paratyphoid, cholera, viral, hepatitis, diphtheria, E. coli. That is to say, the food handlers may transmit disease through milk. Prevention by pasteurization, healthy clean animals, sanitary premises of dairy, sterile vessels to keep milk, safe water supply in dairy, personal hygiene of milk handlers. And this is the test for microorganisms in milk. This is important. This is your duty, the duty of the physicians directly. Diseases conveyed through milk. Diseases are mentioned and the organism and the reservoir or source. Tuberculosis, again, brucellosis, Q fever, septic, sore throat, food poisoning, diarrhea and dysentery, cholera, enteric fever, viral hepatitis, polio, diphtheria. Please read it. This is the direct duty for the physician. He must notice TB in the food handler. He must notice diarrhea and dysentery in food handlers. He must do immunization for typhoid and hepatitis A, and ensure that the food handlers have had the vaccine of diphtheria. Please, this is your direct duty, I mean to the physician. Pasteurization of milk. It is heating of milk to high temperature for a time to destroy any pathogens that may be present while causing minimal changes in composition, flavor, and nutritive value of milk. Emphasis on pasteurization is not to kill every bacteria, but to provide milk which remain pathogen-free at least until it reaches the consumer. Pasteurization kills 90% of bacteria except thermoduric ones and spores. If milk gets warm again after pasteurization, spores will germinate. So, milk should be kept at 4 degrees centigrade until it reaches consumer. HTST pasteurized milk has a refrigerated shelf life of 2 to 3 weeks, but ultra pasteurized milk 2 to 4 months. When ultra pasteurized milk treatment combined with sterile handling and aseptic packaging, it can be stored unrefrigerated for 4 months. Inspection of milk. Read it and supervise your assistants in doing it. This is how to interpret physical tests of milk inspection. Visual inspection: rupee milk or slimy milk, blue milk, red milk, highly colored, dirty milk. Taste: altered taste, medicinal taste, souring of milk. Please train your assistants to do these physical tests of milk inspection. Laboratory test for milk: specific gravity, chemical test, first Gerber's test, then total solids, then methylene blue test again. Please read it and ask for them. Ask your assistant to them. Lab test for milk continued, phosphatase test. Please ask for it. Lab test for milk continued, bacteriological test. Please ask for it. Inspection of dairies and milk depots. Train your assistant to do them and supervise them while doing this, and read it carefully. Meat hygiene, fresh meat. Please train your assistants to do it, or ask the vet with you to do it and supervise them. Fresh fish, either smell, appearance, firmness, color, eyes, and the flotation test. Please ask the vet with you to do it, or train your assistants to do it and supervise them. Tinned meat and fish. Train your assistants and supervise them while they are doing it. Please read it carefully. These are the specifications for tin cans to be viewed with suspicion. Train your assistants and supervise them. Read it carefully so you can train your assistants. Slaughterhouse sanitation. Please read it and ask your vet and sanitarian to do it and supervise them. It must have sanitary design, sanitary building, sanitary floor and walls, drains, waste disposal, employees. Inspection of slaughterhouse. Ask your vet to do it and supervise him. Sanitary inspections and suggested standards for food catering and eating establishment. Ask your sanitarian to do it and supervise him. Kitchen premises, general principles, floors, walls, ceiling, lighting, ventilation, conveniences, kitchen proper, kitchen equipment, preparation room, store room, scullery, dining room, washing arrangements, methods of washing. Please ask your sanitarian to do it and supervise him carefully and train him before he do it. Waste disposal within the kitchen, outside the kitchen, vermin and fly control, control of flies, cockroaches, sprays and other insecticide formulations. Train your sanitarian and supervise him while doing this regularly. This is the methods for pasteurization. Holder vat method, high temperature short time, HTST, ultra high temperature. The term called pasteurization used for use of ionizing radiation to cool bacteria in food. Tests for pasteurized milk, phosphatase test, culture of milk, coliforms. Send the samples to the lab to do it. Differences between boiling and pasteurization. This is for you to read it and to understand the limitations of each method. Sanitation of dairy farms. Ask your sanitarian to do it and supervise him while he is doing it. Care of cattle, cow sheds, disposal of cattle dung and silage. Supervise your sanitarian. Health of workers at dairy farm. This is a direct duty for the physician. Some parts of it are duties for the sanitarian. Ask him to do it. Foodborne diseases. It is your direct duty for the physician. Either aflatoxin, which is carcinogenic, or bacterial toxins as botulinum toxin, staph enterotoxin, chemicals and heavy metals also present. As for bacterials and parasites, please refer to communicable disease part. Malnutrition. These are the effects of malnutrition, either overnutrition or undernutrition. Overnutrition, obesity, diabetes, ischemic heart disease, stroke, gallstones, colon cancer. Undernutrition, direct, indirect. Direct, protein energy malnutrition, nutritional anemia, iodine deficiency disorders, xerophthalmia, child maternal mortality. Indirect, child maternal mortality, low birth weight, fall in national productivity. Please refer to non-communicable disease part. Malnutrition is a pathological state due to relative or absolute deficiency or excess of one or more nutrients. WHO cites malnutrition as grave single threat towards public health prevalence. 1 in every 12 people had it. Malnutrition is biggest contributor to child mortality, present in half of all cases. Intellectual performance. Malnutrition in form of iodine deficiency is the most common preventable cause of mental impairment. Other forms also affect intellectual performance. Better nourished children perform significantly better in school and productivity per year of schooling. Global Hunger Index. It is important. This is a method to measure hunger all over the world. The International Food Policy Research Institute calculates this index based on proportion of undernourished population, prevalence of underweight in children under 5 years, and under 5-year mortality. Three components of this index: undernourished population, underweight in children, and under 5-year mortality. Please read it carefully. Secondary malnutrition due to pathologic states. This is important, please read it. Primary prevention of malnutrition, first through health promotion. Read it carefully. Improve sanitation and specific protection through nutritional supplementation, immunization, food fortification, and food surveillance. Read it carefully. Food fortification is deliberate addition of micronutrients so as to increase intake, correct or prevent demonstrated deficiency, provide a health benefit. Examples of food fortification: fluoride in water, iodide in salt, iron in wheat. And these are the criteria. Please read it carefully. Advantage of food fortification. Read it carefully. Disadvantage of food fortification. Read it carefully. Secondary prevention of malnutrition, either early diagnosis and prompt treatment. Read it carefully. Tertiary prevention, disability limitation and nutritional rehabilitation. Read it carefully. Study questions, longer questions, and short notes. Read them and try to answer them in writing, through writing. These are MCQs for you to answer them and answer at the end of the page. Please read it carefully. Don't look at the answer till you try to answer them carefully. وفي النهاية أقول الحمد لله و thank you for your good listening.